So, Dmitry Bespalov. Good evening. I chose this topic, smartization of Kyiv public transit. So let us think of what smart transportation is in the context of our discussion, of our section. I work with transport planning for over 10 years, and sometimes I'm overly emotional when I see things that happen. Many technical aspects have been well studied, well understood, and well, a lot of things are rather emotional, things I would like to share. How does situation with transportation in Kyiv look like? Well, you know it quite well, obviously. The only thing I want to add is that there are no good news. We follow all the trends with the colleagues, and we are now in the exponential traffic delays phase. First, when the number of cars in the roads increases, but there's no infrastructure, there's the linear growth of traffic delays. At some moment, it goes exponential. So now we are in that phase. You see, there are a lot of negative issues with road safety. These crammed metro lines are also not safe. So what should we do with it? Well, finding a solution. I think video will not open. But anyway, finding a solution is not that difficult. I wanted to show the example of Lybitska. And we made a workshop with the colleagues. And Lybitska, yeah, this is one of the shameful places in Kyiv. I'm ashamed to see that spot. But there are ways to do something with it. With quite a simple reorganization. It's totally feasible. But that's not even the point. Any problem, when you identify it, can be solved. But the problem is of a different nature. It goes a bit deeper. I've been thinking about this issue, and I understood that in Kyiv there's not a single official document which would state that we have a problem, with public transport. Have you ever seen a document that would say that Kyiv has bad situation with transport, or everything is good with the transport? It's just non-existent. The problem is not stated. So Kyiv, most probably, doesn't really give a reality check on its transportation problem. I realized it first when I had a personal situation. My relative got sick. The ambulance came, and they took my relative to the central hospital because they had a dedicated unit there. I was driving a car following the ambulance. When we when we waited for the test results, I asked the driver, how did he know which route to take? What if we were waiting in traffic? And there really we needed to get there as fast as possible. I was expecting that perhaps the driver of the ambulance had a tablet with traffic information, because obviously the authorities should have taken care of that. The driver shrugged and said, no, I don't have anything of that. And I said, well, but you do have GPS trackers installed. I saw that. And the driver said, yeah, we have these GPS trackers, but they are only there to measure the petrol consumption. See, that is a problem. This is the example, the epitome of all the challenges with the transportation in Kyiv. Right now, Kyiv already has enough data to monitor transportation system properly. Kyiv has traffic lights where their cycles can be managed remotely. Kyiv already has the electronic billboards where Kyiv can broadcast some public announcements. Kyiv can measure things which happen in the traffic network. For example, the Uber presentation and the data that they will share with the city. That already is a tremendous impact in the understanding of what happens with the traffic in the city. I will give an example, how it works right now, and how we would like it to work in the future. Do you remember the situation recently? Well, for the second time, Kyiv was on the verge of, I hate the term, but still, of the collapse of transportation. Let's just use the term, because it was not, of course, a full collapse of transportation. But the situation with an active shooter on Metro Bridge, where Kyiv basically, well, one of the metro lines and one of the bridges was blocked. So what has happened? What happens in these situations? There's manual override. People start calling somebody. They want to call the tow truck so that some of the cars that block the traffic will be taken over. It goes in manual mode. But in a smart city with an intellectual transportation system, they have all the models when some of the key infrastructural sites goes missing. So what are the scenarios for the situation? How should the traffic lights be changed? What should be the temporary signs? What should be the public announcements? And if an operator gets the information that that key infrastructural site is blocked, scenario with the corresponding number is open and switched on, and things go as planned. There's no need for the heroic manual overrides. But in Kyiv, the officials, they go on this manual override mode heroically. And why is that? I think the reason is that many of the top officials in Kyiv and in other cities, and in Ukraine, at the level of the ministries, they don't really understand what is going on with the transport. I have attended presentations where the subordinates told, well, they rather reported on the results of their work, and it was mostly whitewashing. It was reports that, well, the transportation goes better and better. It's so nice. So these top officials who don't use public transit, they might even believe that. I dream of having a situation that the mayor or the chief of transportation department will start getting a small piece of paper with some objective indicators of the transportation in Kyiv for the previous day, so that there would be delays with ambulances and police, so that there would be average traffic delay for the cars, average velocity in the network, so that the mayor would see, for example, that today the delay was 33 minutes, and if in a week the delay is 34 minutes, they could start thinking, if in a month that the average traffic delay is 47 minutes, then yes, something should be done probably. And simple whitewashing rhetorics from the subordinates would no longer work. But trust me, when KPIs are monitored, when responsibility is shared, when the indicators are there, we will do what they do in Europe. We will start developing bicycle infrastructure, public transport, and we will try to channelize the existing crossroads. This is what the Europeans do because they don't have any other choice. With this bike infrastructure, it's not that they develop it because they love bicycles. The Europeans, they love cars even more than we do. They love the comfort of their cars. But they look at the indicators and they see that the indicators get worse. And they take measures. Bicycle infrastructure is a response to the threat that we have, the threat of delays, of the environmental impact, and so on. And I think that we have to put the moratorium, we have to ban extensive development, we have to ban the development of new multi-layer intersections, because we have to remember about the existing intersections. We have to have a lot of infrastructural repair. And my last slide, I think a lot of things for transportation planning are done not by the urbanism specialists, but by these low-costers. Young people go to Europe, they see how it's done there, and they create the demand here. Thank you, Dmitry.